Hi everyone. So in this video, we're um, going to have a look at my past cycling trips. Every one of them that was over a month long. So just kind of reviewing the history of, you know, all the trips I've done. We're gonna look at what's been happening recently in my life in June, since June 2022. And we're going to be um, talking about my plans for the future. Yeah, my upcoming plans. Um, my first kind of big trip was in the Maritime provinces. So it was it was going to the Maritime provinces. It started in Ottawa, went to the Gaspé Peninsula, and to Halifax, and then kind of back to Ottawa and towards Toronto. So that was 4 or 5 weeks. Here's me in a tent for the first time during this trip. Here's a view of Quebec City. Um, my next trip I'll be sharing with you is the my 2017 trip to Key West and back. This was my longest trip. It was 4 or 5 months. So it went from Ottawa to Boston. It actually started in the winter. Um, and then yeah, and then through the Appalachian Mountains, into kind of the warmer states, South Carolina, Georgia, um, Key West in Florida, the furthest south point in the United States. Then I went kind of west to New Orleans because I heard New Orleans was interesting, and I went up north to Chicago and then back to Ottawa. This is a view from the top of near the top of um, one of the biggest mountains in eastern USA. It's nowhere near as big as the ones in the west, but you could see there's snow and I'm in clouds. This is a picture in Florida. You could see there's a bird on a chair in the center if you don't see it. And this is in New Orleans, so it's got some cool architecture. It's a really interesting city. And 2018 um, was my trip in the West Coast. So from Vancouver to LA. Uh, it's a really cool pretty beginner friendly route. It's really easy navigationally, and there's a ton of camping and there's a ton of other cycle tourists, so you get to meet lots of people, and it's very beautiful. Um, Especially around the months that we went, uh, which I believe was August. Um, so here's just some views. So hard to choose what to show you because everything is so breathtaking and amazing. Yeah, the Oregon coast and Florida were really nice. This is in Florida. Um, in 2019, I was visiting my girlfriend in the UK, and I also decided to uh, do a bit of a bicycle tour. So this is kind of what some of the canals look like in the UK. I found them really nice. Uh, and this is this is a picture from my kind of favorite place in the UK, which is the Outer Hebrides, because they're really remote and just really vast and beautiful. And this is another picture from the Outer Hebrides. Um, Now we could talk about what's been happening recently. So I've been trying to post videos whenever I'm biking. So I posted one saying like, look, I'm gonna bike around the world. And the idea was, look, I started here in June 2022, and this plan had kind of several steps to it. First, it was going to be biking around Ontario, like kind of southern eastern Ontario. Um, and then it was going to be flying to the UK to visit my girlfriend. Not really cycling very much, but the idea was I was going to leave my bike in Toronto and then continue on west. Um, so I started in June and I spent most of July in Toronto. I spent a whole month in Toronto because I have friends there, just seeing friends, hanging out with friends. I spent uh, uh, a chunk of August in Windsor as well. Um, and then my friend in Windsor, she drove me back uh, to go camping over here near Kingston. And the plan was to drop my bicycle off in Toronto. And before I left, I applied for a passport um, to start traveling, but and to fly to the UK to visit my girlfriend, but that didn't happen. So because the passport was delayed, so I spent actually most of September in Ottawa. So the plan was to fly out of Toronto and back into Toronto, but instead I uh, um, went back to Ottawa, um, and I flew out of there and came back there. So went to the UK, stayed there in October, November, and then went back to Ottawa. And so right now it's December 19th, and the plan is in 2 days, and on December 21st, in the winter, on actually the shortest day of the year, to start biking towards Alaska, and eventually around the world. So what does that look like? This is the world. Uh, so the idea is that you go from Ottawa to Alaska. The map's a bit cut off, but like the idea is to go kind of at least into Anchorage and come back. Um, so the idea is that I'm basically starting in 2023, like almost right. Um, yeah, kind of like a week or two off. Um, right, and I'm thinking that so the plan is to go south through the do the Great Divide mountain bike route in the States, in the Rockies, go through Central America. And so in 2024, the idea is that I'm probably going to be maybe done North America. Well, I'm just estimating too. Like, in general, if anything doesn't go according to plan, or if I have to do something different, it's okay. It's just a rough outline of what I'm expecting right now. But who knows? Anything can happen really. And so the idea is to, for maybe less than a year, bike in South America, I'm guessing. And um, the idea is that I want to spend a little over a year in Africa. Um, so kind of there's this go between Morocco, Cape Town, South Africa, and Egypt. I might have to like fly over some places depending on how dangerous they are. Um, and I also might go the other way, the other direction instead. I'm not sure, but the plan is to spend a little over a year in Africa, and then kind of a little less than a year in Europe. I'm particularly interested in like Southern Europe, I think, but I might go into Northern Europe too. I think I wanna check out the Netherlands. Yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah. And then yeah, and yeah, so I think 2026 will probably end somewhere in like Western Asia, and then yeah, maybe spend up to maybe another year, maybe 2028 of bicycling. I think I want to go through India for sure and through Southeast Asia. And there's a lot of like kind of ideas, right? Like, do I go to Russia at some point? Do I go to M Mongolia? Can I go to China? South Korea, Japan. Um, Also like Australia, New Zealand. These are kind of all on the table, but it's way far away from now. So yeah, it's just this is the rough idea.